Hi, everyone. I saw this ad on the New York subway recently. Side note, New York subway, 10 out of 10. But I saw this ad, and it's by the HR company Rippling, which I think all of us in this room know about. And it reads, "When HR helps engineers ship faster," which I thought was a bit of a stretch. But I realized that everyone is trying to help engineers ship faster because it's the single biggest economic driver in a software company. But what if the solution to speed that we're all looking for isn't in helping engineers ship faster, but in enabling anyone to ship? My name is Gabriella. I'm here with my co-founder, Nim, not Dessn. We're building Dessn. And we believe that designers are the next generation of software builders. Nim and I have been working in product teams together for the last 7-ish years, from products like conversational AI and chatbots to event marketplaces, so quite a wide range of products. But we've felt the same pains on every team that we've been on. And it usually ends up looking something like this. And so we've thought very deeply about the problem and looked at why it was happening and the patterns, et cetera. And we've come to this conclusion. Designers, PMs, marketers, non-technical folk, we live in Figma and Docs and Sheets and Notion and screenshots. Devs live in code and users live in production. And these are 3 very different environments and very different realities. And the truth is, everything on this side of the screen is completely disconnected from prod and from code. And so as an industry, we've invented a handoff process that allows us to go from here to there. Except it's not these cute 2 little arrows that go straight. It's actually a very painful handoff, and a lot gets lost in translation during this handoff process. And I'll walk you through what this handoff could look like. PTSD warning for the product people in the room. Designer PM, they decide they want to make a design change. They don't have access to the code base or skills to execute, right? So we live in Figma, a boundless environment that knows nothing of the limitations of code, and more importantly, none of the limitations of your code base. No hate to Figma, it's a great tool. But that's what we have. So you start there, and then you hand off your work to a dev who lives like 24 hours away. They know the limitations of code, so they come back and they say, nah, actually, we can't do this. We can do this or that, and then it goes back to the designer. They update the design, goes back to the dev. Let's say it just took 1 try this time. They're like, OK, let's do it. They start coding. Goes back to the designer, who goes in and looks for any inconsistencies, make sure it matches Figma, which usually it doesn't. Usually you find 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 things. And then this whole thing keeps going, because now you have to fix all the things you found, and it just keeps going basically until someone quits or the company dies, because they never reach PMF. And all of this pain is pretty much simply because designers don't code, right? Otherwise, they would execute themselves. You know who does code? LLMs. They're actually pretty good at coding. And while a lot of companies these days are using this superpower to 10x devs, we want to use this superpower to 10x designers, because we believe that taste is becoming infinitely more valuable and is the next generation, is the next differentiator of software. So I talked about what we're doing, and we can show you how we're doing it, because I know I'm talking a big game, so let's show you how we're doing it. Nim is going to walk us through everything, and I'm going to be the hands of the demo.
Hi, I'm Nim, and I'm going to show you Dessn today. So you guys saw Julia's awesome demo. She's building SAI. We're going to install Dessn onto the SAI code base and ship code to the code base in less than 5 minutes. Sounds too good to be true? All right, someone start the clock, and let's go. Okay, so the first thing we need is access to your code base. So let's switch to GitHub. So we have a Dessn app on GitHub. All you have to do is just give us access to your repository. And once we have access, our AI is now indexing your code base. What does that mean? So our AI is going through your entire code base, no matter how big, no matter how messy, and is looking for every single component. Component could be buttons, forms, cards, typography, styles. So everything that makes up a design language is being surfaced by our AI, and then it will create a map out of all this. We call this map the Dessn Cortex. Cool name. And essentially, the Dessn Cortex is the AI engine that powers all of Dessn. So before I go to the next part to show you how to actually make a change with Dessn, let's take a sneak peek at what the Cortex looks like. So let's open it up. We'll switch to the Cortex view.
I have it preloaded, so we're going to go in here.
Awesome. So this is what SAI looks like in terms of all of its components. So you could see there's a button component, and you could see which pages this button is on. So this is kind of like an overview of your entire code base. And on the left-hand side, it's the same list from the graph. So let's find the button and click on the button. Let's see what happens. You guys may remember this button from the other demo. So this is a visual representation of the button. And on the right-hand side is the properties of the button that are coming from the code. So you could play around with it, see what a small button looks like, what a big button looks like. And you could do this with every single component in your entire code base. So maybe we could switch to something a bit more complicated, the input. And maybe we can also show like a pricing component, which is the most complicated in here. So you could do that with every single component. Now, this took us a long time to build, because it's all automated. No developers were needed for this one. So why did we spend so much time building this? We think it's a really big deal. And it's because for the first time ever, designers, developers, and AI has access to the same design language that is coming from your source of truth, which is the code base. Not Figma. This is not a Figma representation. It actually is from your code. So we think this is a big deal, and this fact is what's going to allow us to build everything that we're going to show you in the rest of the demo. OK, so this is the view of the Cortex. Now let's make a live change to your code base. So we're going to switch over to SAI. This is the SAI website. You've seen this before. That little thing at the bottom, that's the Dessn Chrome extension. So let's create a new design edit. Call it demo day submit. So we just turn your live app into a canvas. So you could click on one of the components, maybe the card or maybe the button, and on the right-hand side, you could see all the variants. As you could see, this is powered by the Cortex. This is what we showed you before. And you could just edit components on your live app as you are in context. You don't have to switch context or anything. So yeah, we changed that to got questions. Sounds a bit more Gen Z, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Riz.
And for the sake of the demo, these are the only changes we'll make, but you can basically do everything you want to. Now let's publish pull request to GitHub. So at this point, we have an AI agent. And with the help of the Cortex, it finds the changes that you just made in your code base. And it'll actually implement those changes, and then it will run the tests, just like a human engineer would. And if the tests fail, it will write new tests, and everything, it's kind of the whole process. And once it's done, it will push a PR, just like a human would. And normally the PR takes like 10 minutes to do, so we've preloaded one for the demo purposes. And this is the result of that pull request. So the Dessn bot has, this is the description of the changes we made. And at this point, a dev on your team comes in, goes to files changed, and looks at the code that's changed, and they approve, and boom, it's live. And this hasn't even been 5 minutes. So we were able to go from installing to shipping in less than 5 minutes. Developers are happy because they didn't want to do this anyways, right? Like, they have higher, more complicated things to do, things that AI cannot do, right? We call these high leverage tasks. So they can do that. Designers are happy because they just shipped code without knowing how to code. And we are happy because we made everyone else happy, and it's just the best job ever. Awesome. So that's the end-to-end editing experience with Dessn. I practice that a lot. Anyways.
Yeah.
So there's one more thing. I always wanted to say that out loud in front of a live audience. That, and let's make it a true daily double. I'm happy I got to say one of these things today. So Gab,
Yeah.
I was backstage with Julia, and backstage.
Yeah.
And she was talking about this new page she wants to make, and it's this page where it's like a list of schools.
Yeah.
And the users come in, save the school, and do the whole thing.
Okay.
And
You want to try building it?
I mean, we have like not a lot of time, but 30
From
seconds.
scratch?
Yeah. Do you think we can do that? Does it make
we
sense?
have all the components, so technically,
Oh.
it should be possible. Let's try.
Oh, let's make it a true daily double then.
Okay. All right, I'm going to create a new page here. I'm going to call it School Selector. And I'm going to talk to this, and I'm going to be like, I want a school selector where you can save schools, and they become your favorites. Use
faves.
this.
By Gen Z.
Thanks.
I think that's how they're talking. I don't know. I wouldn't know.
I'm going to ask it to use this drop-down because I like this drop-down.
Oh, wait. So
And
is that because you share the same design language with the AI, so you
That
could
is
just like
true.
steer it with the, wow,
is
cool.
why.
AI native.
And it did it. It generated something for me.
And now that you've made this, you can even edit this using the same primitives
yes,
as.
I can edit.
Oh,
copy.
so everything else is the thing you see in editing experience also there.
Yes, correct.
Cool. Thank you.
Amazing.
Back to you.
Awesome. I hope this showed you how we take this super painful process and streamline it into allowing a designer to ship a pull request. Using Dessn should result in the two most important outcomes for a product team, which are higher velocity and higher quality. The fact that more people within your existing talent pool can now ship with basically no learning curve while taking work away from devs means speed, a lot of it. And the fact that nothing gets lost in translation during the handoff process and that designers specifically are the ones shipping means quality. But about where we are, Nim and I quit our jobs and started Dessn in April. We closed our pre-seed in July, and we're currently in a closed beta, primarily looking for two things. We're looking for teams who believe in the same future that we do to use Dessn and help shape it while paying for it. And we're also looking for talented folks who want to help build the product and the company. So who else wants in?